Hello and welcome to Creative Writing Meetup. This space is normally hosted by Laurel of Educators in VR, but today I'm taking over for a special promotional seminar on the Odyssey in Ink project. So let's go to the next slide. Rules of the sandbox. Yes, whenever we talk about fiction or our work in this space, the rule is everything is fiction. Don't assume anyone has done anything or plans to do anything. We're just playing with fiction. Let's see, 2025 writing events. We have for the month of August and the first couple of weeks of September, I will be doing Odyssey in Ink. My name is Tangwystle. September 25th, Laurel will be back, and she has something very special planned that we don't want to miss. I don't know what it is, but I definitely will not be missing it. October is our scary storytelling event. November, we will be doing VR Rimo, which is our VR writing month. And December, we will have holiday storytelling. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into it a little bit. I am actually a member of Worldsmyths, which is a nonprofit organization. My name is Tangwystle. I got started with Worldsmyths several years ago and have since become a moderator on the Discord server and a member of the nonprofit founding team. We are, let's see, I'm sorry, my cat is making things difficult. Stop. Worldsmyths, excuse me. Worldsmyths is a nonprofit organization that began as a writing community online. Over time, we've evolved to focus as a nonprofit on three key areas: education, providing resources, and helping writers develop their craft and pursue their goals. We welcome writers of all skill levels and all ambitions, so whether you want to publish or you're just a hobby writer, and whether you come with a lot of experience or you're just starting out, you are welcome in the Worldsmiths environment. And I believe we have a link to our server on the Educators in VR server, and there will probably be a link to it in the description. I think this is going up on YouTube. So there should be a link to our Discord server if you would like to join us in the description box below the video. Please forgive my stuttering and stammering. I'm a little nervous. All right, let's get into it a little bit. Before I talk about what Odyssey in Ink is and what it aims to do, I want to talk a little bit about the array of challenges writers today face. Some of these challenges go back as old as the written word, access to education, dealing with writer's block. But some challenges are very new and evolving, like how do we handle AI and how do we build a social media presence to help support our career as published authors. And I have a question for all of you in the audience. What is like one major writing challenge that you have really struggled with finding good resources for? Like, the internet is a huge place and there are tons of resources out there, but sometimes it can be hard to find a resource that really speaks to you or speaks to the specific problem you're having. Does anyone have a recent writing struggle they would like to share? You can just unmute your mic and speak up or raise your hand. Margie.
As a matter
of it's not that it's a specific problem I have, but I do a lot of research for my writing, excuse me, and I have trouble discerning which sources I can really trust to provide background information or substantiation. because I write nonfiction.
That is a great point. Odyssey in Ink is really geared more towards fiction authors, but that does cover things like historical fantasy, where being able to research and find reliable resources for your references is very important. So that would be definitely something we would cover.
Actually, I should clarify that I do write fiction as well because I'm a playwright.
That's
So
true. You do.
I
You
just
write plays as well.
I need to know how to verify resources online.
Okay. I don't think
that's probably not what you were looking for, but it is bugging me lately.
No, but that's actually that's exactly what I'm looking for, because that's not something I currently have in the program for Odyssey in Ink, and that is a very essential thing.
Yeah.
So let me just make a note here. Sorry, I'm working with a laptop and my desktop today.
And your cat.
And my cat is wanting to snuggle, which she has not snuggled me for 3 days, but now is the time she wishes to snuggle.
She knows you need it.
How to verify reliable sources. Okay.
A first go-to, since it offers its own citations to where it finds sources. So you can go and check what it finds.
Yeah, excellent point. Jay, I think you were gonna say something about something you've been struggling with.
Yes, I mean, my whole struggle, I like to plan a lot, and my biggest thing has always been how to go from the outline to the actual draft. I tend to be really picky about, like, what words I put in the draft. So I'm wondering, if there's, maybe some options on, or some advice, I can find how to, learn to be less picky and worry less about the first draft. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's a little hard to hear you, but I think I got the gist of that. Let me just repeat it back so I make sure I got it clear, and so everybody has a clear understanding. You are what we commonly call a plotter. You like to start with an outline, something kind of detailed, get all your ideas figured out, and then move into actually drafting your story. Is that right?
But yes, that is correct.
And the issue you're dealing with is trying to make that bridge between outline to first draft.
Yes.
I got you covered. We actually got a section for you on being a plotter and how to make that shift from outline to draft. Because that is a problem a lot of people who are really big on plotting deal with. Does anyone else have? I think we can squeeze in one more writing struggle.
Do you have the opposite for a pantser, someone who just gathers together all sorts of inspirations and then has almost too much to deal with to winnow it down again?
I do, yes. Organizing is not natural for the opposite end of the spectrum, the pantsers who like to write by the seat of their pants. And I am a pantser myself primarily, and my friend Penguin, who writes under Freya Bell, she is primarily a plotter. So between the two of us, we've been working out how to help writers on both sides of this spectrum deal with every step of the writing process. So we've got both sides covered here. Okay, so let's see. I think we want the next slide. And okay, here we go. So obviously there is this very wide array of challenges that authors and aspiring authors face, and I personally have been able to find very few comprehensive resources out there that really tackle the whole process from start to finish. And most sources seem to really focus on just like one little tiny bit of area. And that's fair. You can write whole books on generating ideas or developing characters. You know, there are tons of books out there, and those are great resources. But part of my goal with Odyssey in Ink was to kind of put together a big roadmap that anyone could follow along or chart their own course using. So you see this lovely map behind me is based on Odysseus's mad adventures in the Odyssey, where he suffered so many setbacks, and I felt that was appropriate as writers, we ourselves tend to face so many different setbacks. One of the things I set out to do when I started creating the Odyssey in Ink project was writing with a spectrum of writers in mind, not just novices, not just the experienced authors. So obviously on the novice end of the spectrum, we've got authors who want to write stories and may or may not have some ideas about what they want to write, but they don't have a lot of experience, they don't have a lot of technical knowledge, they don't have a lot of technical knowledge, they don't know the rules or how to break them, and they really don't know what they don't know. I mean, we all kind of face that problem no matter what our experience level. But I also wanted to make this resource useful to authors at the other end of the spectrum. People who may have published a few short stories or even a novel or two, people who maybe know the basics of what they're doing with building their brand online but are struggling to break past a certain wall, or they're just struggling with a current project that they're stuck on and they don't know why they're stuck and they're just trying to move forward. Between these two extremes, we have a whole host of authors who are writing for various reasons and purposes. And I wanted to create something that would help all of these different writers a little bit in the right direction, no matter where they are or where they're starting from or where they want to go. So I've tried very hard to balance simple, accessible language with comprehensive, not too in-depth, but definitely scratches past the surface, and a look at both classic elements of writing and some new language that's cropping up in the industry, some new opportunities and new challenges, and how to navigate today's complex digital marketplace. Okay, next slide. Oh, I guess we already kind of covered that one, sorry. Next slide. Okay, so in addition to who I'm writing for, I also put a lot of thought into how to write this system. Like I said earlier, a lot of writing resources are out there, are tightly focused on one or just two areas of the craft or the publishing or the marketing. With Odyssey in Ink, I wanted to take a kind of systematic approach to the entire writing process, from before your first word to after if you want to publish, after you finally publish your book or story, how do you follow up on that? One of the key elements of Odyssey in Ink is a very modular design. So episodes are very short, very to the point, and very focused within themselves. But each episode does build on previous knowledge and contains clear references when that occurs, so that if I mention something, say you're interested in getting better research results, and in the episode on research results I reference something that doesn't make a lot of sense, there will be a reference to the previous episode that digs deeper into that topic. The idea here was that experienced writers can jump straight into what areas they are most looking for help on, whereas beginners could start from the beginning and just kind of go through the whole thing. Next slide. Sorry, next slide. Fancy, stop, please. There we go. Here we go. So, here we go. This is today just kind of an overview of the broader sections of Odyssey in Ink, since there's absolutely no way I could cram everything into the 6 weeks I have. What I'm going to do is walk you through the various sections I do have and let you guys at the end voice what topics you would like to cover most in the next 5 weeks. Excuse me. So we have our pre-writing section, our self-discovery section, our writing section, editing, publishing, marketing, and after you published. Next slide. In the pre-writing section, let me see. Oops, sorry. I'm having a little trouble following along because I can see the slide way over on the other side of the room, but I can't really read it from here. Okay, here we go. Pre-writing. This section is both an introduction and a pre-writing focus section. It opens with looking at a comparison between motivation, inspiration, and intention, and how those different factors can impact your writing as you move forward, and also why they're important to figure out before you start writing seriously, especially if you have an eye towards publishing. We also have some basics of writing, some grammar essentials, genre and genre conventions, generating ideas, tips on setting up your workspace so that you can focus on working instead of getting distracted by everything, and how to get into your headspace, among other things. Next slide. Oh, you moved the thing for me. Thank you. Our sections on self-discovery are kind of scattered throughout the Odyssey in Ink program. They focus more on identifying your writing habits, defining yourself as a pantser or a planner or something in the middle, and how to build better writing habits. And we also put a strong emphasis on neurotypical writers and the different needs that they have versus neurodivergent writers who are maybe struggling with mental health issues like ADHD or chronic health issues that limit their ability to focus and work for long periods of time. So our community is very diverse, so we've got a lot of people who come to us and ask for help with these different things, and we've tried to make a lot of space to help both neurotypical writers and neurodivergent writers become better writers within their own means. Next slide. Our writing fundamentals, regular members of Creative Writing Meetup will recognize a lot of this stuff. This is what we spend most of our time on in most writing groups. This is stuff like your character building, your plot building, how to build a better setting, your world building, how to hook your reader on the first page, how to deal with writer's block, Jay, you mentioned, I think, struggling with letting go of your draft being perfect. We have a whole section specifically dedicated to your first draft is not going to be perfect, and it shouldn't be. We also talk about plot twists and happily ever after endings versus tragedy endings versus the never-ending story. And that's just a very, very brief overview. The writing fundamentals is probably 60% of the Odyssey in Ink project outline currently. Next slide. The next section, editing. There are different types of editings. A lot of novice writers don't know this, so we take a minute to explain the different types of editings, the different types of edits that can be made, and the order in which they should be made to avoid making more work for yourself. Work smarter, not harder, you know. This is also the point where we start talking about alpha and beta readers and self-editing if you can't afford to find a good editor. If you can afford to find a good editor, how to find a good editor. And of course, handling different kinds of feedback and like discerning what kind of feedback is really useful and helpful and what you should maybe just kind of say, thank you for your feedback and move on. And we also have a section here that's just a collection of tools and resources for editing. Next section. Once your book is edited, then we start to get into publishing. This section also, like before publishing day, you're going to need a cover artist. You're going to need either knowledge on how to format yourself or how to find a good formatter and other experts. You might want to look into traditional publishing. You might want to self-publish your work. There are also hybrid options, non-traditional publishing houses like Worldsmyths, for example. I don't know of too many other nonprofit publishers off the top of my head, but there are lots of small publishing companies out there that are focused on more niche topics. So we talk about them as a hybrid option between traditional and self-publishing. We also go over some very basic contract elements if you were going to get a contract, and ISBNs and copyright information. Legal disclaimer, I am not a copyright lawyer or a contract lawyer, but I am giving you the best advice that I can find based on personal experience. Next section, or next slide. We also have a large section dedicated to marketing, particularly focused in the online world, but we do have marketing offline options as well for people who just do not want to do the social media rounds and the online marketing grind. There are still ways to build your brand offline. We have sections on long-term marketing goals and thoughts, how to maintain reader engagement as you build your audience up, networking with other authors to expand your reach, and the final piece of the marketing section is developing your personal launch strategy. And we have our final section, after you publish. This is an area of writing that I feel gets sorely neglected. So many people who want to publish are focused on publishing, and once the book is out there, they don't know what to do. They don't know that they need to do other things. So after you publish your book, you do want to celebrate, but then you want to take a moment, reflect on the lessons you've learned, make some notes for your future self so they will suffer less. This section also explores, you know, if your book isn't doing so great, which the first one almost never does great by itself. We cover different monetization options and how you can pay your bills. And we talk about balancing your goals and pursuit of them versus burnout, because if you get burnt out, you're just going to waste a lot of time recovering and you're not really going to make progress. And then the big question for a lot of people after you publish, are you going to do a sequel, a prequel, or a new series? That's my favorite question. Okay, so you have all been wonderfully patient. Next slide. And now we have your options for the next 5 weeks. So this is your opportunity to speak up on what areas you're keen to learn more about, or if there's anything I didn't cover that you would like to know if it could be covered. Dorian? It's very quiet in here.
You mentioned it takes a second to unmute. You mentioned that this is modular.
Yes. The ultimate goal with Odyssey in Ink is once I have all of the episodes written, I'm going to be releasing them in small, there's going to be a comprehensive edition, and then there's going to be smaller, more focused, modular focused editions. So like things that nail down on particular topic and subject areas like character development or plot planning or building better writing habits or marketing elements. Those will all be like small little more tightly focused packs that you can focus on. I'm just saying focus a lot, I'm sorry.
An apt phrase.
But
I was wondering whether you'll be adding anything about how AI kind of comes into this picture now in terms of even our copywriting, and where in these options does one start to think in terms of protecting one's work and before publishing, obviously, and after editing, I suppose.
Before publishing and after publishing, both are concerned for plagiarism, yes, especially with AI being loosely regulated and scraping anywhere and everywhere for training data. We are starting to see some legal activity in that area, so it's very much a real-time evolving issue, but it is a subject I do touch on regarding a lot of writers take a very hard stance against AI, and for good reason. There are some serious issues to consider with AI systems, but there are also opportunities that some writers want to explore. So we do have, I might end up just putting a new section on AI into the outline, because this is a very rapidly evolving topic, and there's a lot, every day it feels like there's something new to cover with the subject of AI as it relates to writing.
Or something new for a writer to do with AI to advance themselves in a new medium, maybe?
Right. There are AI systems for creating videos now, and music, and if you're advertising or building a social media presence as part of your build your brand plan, as part of your plans to build your brand, those alternative mediums can be very, very useful for reaching new potential readers. So there are a lot of opportunities, I feel, where AI can be very beneficial, even outside of the writing process itself. And I do want to take time to look at and go over a lot of the hurdles that writers working with AI have to deal with.
And there's also kind of it isn't exactly to do with AI, but if you find someone has plagiarized your work, or if they are accusing you of plagiarizing them, is that a whole other aspect that one has to protect oneself against?
Accusations of plagiarism have always been a serious issue, or at least since the creation of copyright law, have always been a very serious issue for writers. Before the creation of copyright law, it was very much a dog-eat-dog situation, and whoever came out on top came out on top. There was a much wilder time. But since the advent of copyright law, accusations of plagiarism can tank a new author in their career before they even really get started. So you do need to know how to deal with those accusations appropriately. That would be more of a build your brand type issue, I
Save your
think.
reputation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Will you be having a module on targeting an audience or finding a genre that you should be writing for?
Yes, that's actually part of my introductory section, is figuring out your genre, which is not as simple as it used to be because the genres keep multiplying like rabbits and subdividing. I'm having a bit of a hard time keeping up with them myself.
Ooh.
Can you hear me now?
Well, as long as identify.
Yes.
Okay, the thing I'm most interested in is marketing. I've been doing this for a long time. Marketing is always a problem because I neither have the time for it nor the money to do it. So I may take 2 years to write a book. A lot of research put into it, but we're talking about fiction. Sometimes even in fiction, it takes almost 2 years to write a book and do all the research for it. But at the end of it, I'm left with marketing, and I just soon turn that over to someone else.
Absolutely, and you're not alone in that sentiment. A lot of authors very much don't want to deal with marketing and or don't have the money to deal with marketing, so that is definitely a section we can look at and work on.
That I would really appreciate. Excuse me. And I apologize, I'm having trouble with my audio. I built a new computer, forgot to hook the microphone up.
Oh, no, you're fine. You're coming through plenty clear.
Yeah.
I was also wondering what you mean by self-discovery.
Self-discovery, that is really more about this I found it is an actually sorry, too many words in my brain. Self-discovery is about taking a moment to introspect and reflect on who you are as a writer, what kind of writer you are, and while that might seem like something just kind of strictly for the novice crowd, I've actually found that as I've gotten older as a writer, a lot of the things I thought I knew about myself as a writer were not actually accurate. So I do really encourage that section for more experienced authors as well to look through it. It's things like, well, are you a pantser or a planner is in that section, but also building good writing habits, as well as recognizing when your routine is actually restricting you from writing, like exploring. One of the things I discovered personally, it was just a few years ago, I thought of myself as a nighttime writer. If the sun was up, I did not try to write. I didn't feel like I was very creative during the day. I felt like the night and the quiet was a better time for me, and that I was able to write more effectively and more beautifully. And for a while, I was not able to write at night. I was on a normal person schedule for reasons I won't go into. And I was getting very frustrated because I wanted to write more and I wasn't able to stay up late enough to write. And so one day I was like, well, why do I have to write at night? Why can't I write during the day? And I just sat down and tried and realized, hey, I can actually write at pretty much any time of day or night. I just need these other elements. I need to be left alone so I can get into my headspace, and I need to not be interrupted because that makes my brain do a hard reset on my writing headspace, which is very frustrating. But going into things like that, self-discovery, realizing when you are maybe limiting yourself with your definitions of yourself. That's something that we touch on.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Are you going to cover the query letter? Because I'm coming up on that sooner than I thought, and I need the formula.
Yeah,
Oh, good.
we do cover submitting to traditional publishing services, getting an agent, that sort of thing, and the query letter is absolutely something we can look at.
Yes, that would be amazing. I thought I was going to be much further off, but I took a break off of another project and started something else, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm already through almost half of this.
Ooh, nothing succeeds like
Yeah.
success.
Yeah, I was very,
Right?
very shocked. Actually, this is the first time I was thinking about you, Tang, when I was writing this, because a few weeks ago when you were like, well, like you just feel it, and I was like, that's great. I've never felt anything. I felt something for the first time.
That's wonderful.
Hooray. It's great.
So that's tracking a project and maybe leaving something safely to one side when you start another project. Ooh, if I had a formula for that, I'd be ahead.
Well, for me, I just had to adjust to where my life was. That's what it was. I've developed a really good writing habit, and I've been dealing with some personal things, but I didn't want to stop writing. And what I was originally working on was it takes a lot of work, and I just didn't have the headspace for it. So I was like, well, you know what? I still want to continue writing something. So then I started this new project, and I'm having so much fun. A lot of it's because my original work was a fantasy novel. So, the world building, getting all these different things. And for the first time, I'm writing something in modern time where I don't have to do this gigantic setup. You already know what time it is, you know what a phone is and stuff, So I've been able to barrel through this, and it just feels so good.
Doesn't it? Doesn't it?
It does. It feels
It's
so
wonderful.
good. But I had the feeling for the first time. I finished this one chapter, and I was like, oh my gosh, this actually feels like Act 1 might be done. Because I thought I needed 2 or 3 more chapters, and I was like, no, for pacing, this feels right. I think this is it.
There's a kind of enjoyment to going with the flow, isn't there?
Yeah, and it kind of surprised myself because I thought I knew how Act 1 should have ended and then how it naturally really went. I also, on this project, I figured out I'm not as much as a planner. I am a plantser. Because I always joke I can't pants, but I outline to a certain point, but leave it vague enough to let the story grow. I'm a character driven writer, so I definitely make my characters do certain things and be like, let's see how that one's gonna react, and then just let the story go.
That kind of outlining
This is
is
good for-
actually called signposts, setting signposts for yourself in your outline for areas you want to get to, but kind of leaving it vague how you get there.
Yes.
So you can explore along the way. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been doing that a lot, and it feels comfortable. It feels good to me.
Good. Margie, what were you...
Well, I was going to say that I think it's really good that people are hearing Brittany's experience, because it's common for people to listen to writing instructors or other perhaps more accomplished writers and hear them say, oh, I just got carried away, or this story, pulled me along, and before I knew it, I was done. And you think, oh, I could never do that. But the fact that Brittany had the experience of saying, oh, I don't feel that, and then suddenly, wow, I felt it. Kind of reminds me of the musical chorus line, But I think it's good to give people hope and help them understand that where you are now is not where you're always going to be. And
Yes.
following a course like this, and especially picking the modules that you think would be appropriate for you, could really be something that changes the way you go about writing when you really want to do it well.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I
All
mean,
right.
it can be even just like how do you get back into a project once you're out of it accidentally or for some reason? How to restart yourself into a project when you've been interrupted would be a very good tip to have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we can make that a separate one, or I've got a list here because I've been making notes while you guys are talking. So far we've got marketing help, marketing with little time, little money, little energy, and how to approach that. Self-discovery, figuring out whether you're limiting yourself in certain things and habits you're doing. How to write a good query letter, and then organizing around multiple projects. This particularly comes up with our neurotypical writers who struggle with focus. So we have lots of strategies we can share there. And that also kind of goes hand in hand with picking up a project after a long break, or we could make picking up a project after a long break one of our fifth subject area.
I'll add mine to that, Tangwystle.
Go ahead.
I'm interested in the fundamentals of the writing. Things like, I'm reading a novel right now and it is just driving me forward, and it's not a mystery, it's not a thriller, it's just a regular novel, but I am intensely interested in what's going to happen next. And I'm interested in learning about that kind of technique and other techniques people use to create compelling characters.
So how to keep your reader reading.
Yeah, I write plays and I've written musicals, and one of the most important thing is that each scene end with the audience really wanting to know what's going to happen next.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
I want to incorporate that into the other kinds of writing that I do.
Okay, there's a lot of things that go into keeping your reader reading, but we can definitely do kind of a touch and go on several of those points and look at how they all kind of, because they do all work together to maintain that goal of keeping your reader reading. Pacing, off the top of my head, is a big one, and there are several elements that kind of go into setting your pace. As well as, like you said, those cliffhanger hooks at the end of each chapter or act that keep the audience or reader like, I don't want to go to intermission. I don't want to get up and do my chores. I want to read the next section now, please, because I want to know what happens next.
Yeah, but I don't want to be too obvious about it. I mean, there's a rhythm to it, and I don't want that same cliffhanger rhythm to be at the end of every single chapter, because the reader will see the technique instead of being lost in the story.
Right.
Oh, but then that's when we do the payoff. You got to give them the payoff.
Yeah, that is actually a good point, Brittany. The emotional payoff of one problem solved and then leading into a new problem developing is also a way to hook at the end.
Yeah, I've been playing around with that. It's just been it's been fun. I was just excited because it's very new.
Okay. All right. So
why does this keep clapping? My hands are not together.
All right, we've got 5 topics to cover for the rest of our time together through August and the start of September. Let's figure out which one do we want to do next time. Brittany, you said that query letter is sneaking up on you quick. Is that a time crunch? You want to get that done next week?
And you know what? It really doesn't matter to me. It isn't a time crunch. I'm just surprised that I'm actually really rolling up on that moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
My
And I'm
surprise
the type of
anyway.
person, yeah, and I'm the type of person like I either go big or go home, and now I'm at this point, so I can't just nut up. So I'm going all the way now, regardless of whether it's a success or we fail, and then I'll get up and I'll do it again. It'll be fine.
That's a good attitude, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I do other writing like as my job too, so I've been beat up enough. So I got to get paid. So I've been doing it for years. So get up
There
and
you
write
go.
another one.
In other words, there's a payoff for
You
getting
know-
beaten up.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, yeah. It is. It is. It beats what I used to do. So I used to be in the office world and stuff like that. So now I just stand on my soapbox and for a HR tech to try to turn those shitty jobs that I used to work at and try to make them better.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's so
Margie?
yeah. And I've gotten beat up a
Yeah,
lot.
there's
doing
something else. There's something else there's something else that occurs to me now. How to find the right editor and the whole concept. I think people think, oh, I've got to find an editor. They look around, they find one, they hire them, and it's just not a good working relationship. I was recently invited to be on the board of a college, actually, and they said because I'm a writer, I would be helpful and could use my skills for various things. It's a very small college, and so I've been writing for them, and they have someone else on the board who does digital marketing, and they had that person do the editing, and he rewrote everything I wrote.
Yeah.
And he's not a good writer. I have to tell you this, since we're a writing workshop, I will tell you he's not a good writer. And so suddenly what I put a lot of thought and time and effort into has turned into something else that's not good, but my name is on it. So a discussion of how to work with an editor, or how to fire an editor, or how to find an editor. Those are really important things.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh,
we can
man.
absolutely cover that.
I've dealt with that exact thing. It's horrible. It's hard.
A bad editor is a nightmare. It absolutely is.
It is. It is.
Okay, I'll add that to the list. Dawn, I think did you have a question? You're kind of in the back, so it's hard for me to see you.
I don't have any questions. I'm just here to learn and listening on all the discussions. Thanks.
Okay, cool. We
Can
just
I
wanted
say
to
something
make
to
sure.
Margie?
Yes.
I just wanted to say something to you, Margie, about that something about digital marketing writers. A lot of them have to prove their worth, or at least that's what they feel. So they do a lot of extra edits that aren't even necessary, just because they would rather them shine and show, well, I can correct this, but they don't realize that they also just added on a lot more work to their plate too.
Thanks. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah,
I was a professional writer for 23 years. I was a columnist for a daily newspaper, and I worked with probably 15 different editors, and people edit in different ways.
Yeah.
And your relationships with your editors are critical if you're a writer, just critical. Everything you do depends on whether they will let your own voice get through and whether they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, okay. I can definitely add that to the list. All right. We're coming up on the end of the hour. I just want to double check. Francis, Fustigator, you guys have been really quiet. Is there anything you guys wanted to add, or questions you guys had?
Well, for myself, I'm at the editing stage of my first book now, so I'm very interested in looking at the what's involved with editing. It is all new to me, so and the other side of it as well, publishing. I wasn't actually intending to publish anything, but this one looks like it might get published. So yeah, very interested to find out all around that area. You know, the pros and cons of self-publishing against doing it traditionally, and as you say, there's a hybrid method as well, which I'm completely unaware of. So that is all exciting stuff.
Okay, so we could touch on some of this stuff. Self-publishing versus traditional. And more info on hybrid. Francis, did you have anything you wanted to ask or anything you were particularly interested in learning?
I think everyone pretty much covered what I'm looking at, things like querying and publishing and primarily marketing. So I think we already
awesome. So we've got you
brought all
covered.
those up. So yeah, I'm good.
Okay. All right. I've got a list here of 7 items, but we've only got 5 weeks. So I'm going to take this list and put it up on the Creative Writing Meetup server on the Discord. I think just about everyone is on there, and we'll see what we can do to kind of organize this into something a little more manageable for 5 weeks and put it into some kind of order that makes sense. And I guess I will see you guys same time next week. And thank you so much for coming today and participating. Laurel, can I get the next slide for the end notes? One of the big announcements is, yeah, we've got November coming up. That's the VR Rimo project we're doing to kind of pick up the slack for NaNoWriMo shutting down. That's National Novel Writing Month for anyone who doesn't know. And our goal is going to be 50,000 words in 30 days, and we're going to be hanging out in VR chat and on Engage XR, as well as on the Creative Writing Meetup server on Discord. There's going to be prompt sessions, speed writing sessions, writing games, and just a whole lot of social support to help people get some writing done in November. Yeah, that is our schedule in several time zones. Woo! And thank you all very much for showing up.
Great.
I know I spent a lot of
Thank
time
you.
talking today, and I
Looking
really
forward to the rest of
appreciate
this.
you guys' patience. It will not be like that next time.